The Pioneers wrap up the regular season as they head to the South Atlantic Conference Tournament. Hello everyone, it's Pioneer Basketball with Pioneer coach J.T. Burton. I'm Brian Staten. Coach J.T. Burton as the Pioneers finish up the regular season at home against Lincoln Memorial and Wingate. Two teams, two different challenges, and if you were going to make the South Atlantic Conference Tournament, you knew, but there were some aspirations that I think this team had because of what happened just the week prior with the win against Coker. Had the opportunity to be at home. We're talking about Wingate and LMU, so the challenge was very tall for the Pioneers.
Yes, it was. I mean, being that we had played those guys early in the season, in the conference season, we went 0-4 right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And to be able to come back and play those two teams and be in the position we was at, and then being able to win those two games was big.
A Pioneer team that did start 0-4 in the South Atlantic Conference, but now here we are talking about winners of 11 of their last 15, 12 of their last 16. By the time we get through with all of this stuff, but we're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, to the matter at hand, the Lincoln Memorial University Rail Splitters. Let's take a look at the highlights. A team that has dominated not only the Pioneers, but the league here over the last decade. Josh Schertz has come in and done a phenomenal job with this LMU Rail Splitter team. You're talking about 2009, last time they had won, so we're talking 24 consecutive losses to the Rail Splitters. And the game at LMU, they blew us out very early, but Coach, you really got guys going, especially in this one. You made some shots very early in this. We hunkered in defensively somewhat, so a very good start for this team.
Yeah, it was. As you've seen on the highlights, Trent Gibson did a really good job of getting the lane going, getting it going early. And then Donovan Donaldson got Caleb Hotton early on the pick and roll, and then you see him getting Jackie Davis involved. But we did a really good job of attacking the paint and then, getting out, especially late in the game, contesting the three-point shots.
Cornelius Taylor didn't play against the Pioneers the last time, had 24 points. He's wearing number 0. McCauley had a big game, Corvassier McCauley for LMU. But again, a lot of this is very early, and this has kind of been more of the norm. It's almost a filling out process. But there's the guy, 0 the last game against Coker, and I think you challenged him a little bit for this LMU contest.
Yes, we did. We knew he was going to have him. He's got to be a volume shooter, and he knew that. I mean, he did a really good job. One thing about him, he tries to get everybody involved, but I told him to be aggressive. As you see Trent taking the shot, and then we did a really good job of rebounding the ball. But Don did a good job of taking shots and making those shots and getting everybody else involved.
A team that, for the Pioneers, again, this first half, good outside shooters. LMU was very good from outside, but as it happens so many times, that outside shot seems to go away a little bit in that second half. Dylan Smith has been a guy that I think has been making big shots for this Pioneer team the last 3 weeks anyway.
Yes, he has. I mean, he's kind of came in his own. He's taking, he ain't taking as many bad shots as he was before, and he's making his open shots, and that's what we told him. You got to be able to take and make those open shots and get other people involved.
I think what I was more impressed with, I think both teams combined for three turnovers in the first half. I think 2 of those turnovers were offensive fouls. As we were talking before the game, ball security had to be key, and it definitely was for your team.
Yes, I mean, especially during this winning streak that we have going on, has been taking care of the ball. We haven't turned the ball over a lot like we have been, at least been leading the points before, but especially in this game, we really took care of the basketball.
Brandon Mitchell getting involved, the defense leading to some offense. Cam King with the block, one of the best block shot teams in the South Atlantic Conference, and Trent Gibson has figured out he gets into the paint, he's almost unstoppable. Donovan Donaldson, dribble penetration, a good way to end this first half for the Pioneers. And really, they had built a bit of a lead at LMU, but I think that was one of the biggest plays, able to finish right there at the end of the half.
Yes, it was. It was huge in momentum going in the half. And as you see, Jackie Davis was able to come out and hit a big 3. Because I told him if you open, shoot it, and then we get a run out right here to open the started the second half up with pretty much a 6-point play, 6-point lead.
It's a team for Tusculum. You don't see the offense from Jackie Davis that way, from outside.
No.
Hey, that almost looks awkward,
Yes.
when he's taking it. But gets the big play. Caleb Hodnet's coming off a Player of the Week nod, and again, he struggled later in the week. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But it's you get that offense that goes, and it was a game of runs in that second half. And I felt like this inbound play for Dylan Smith, I think it opened up something later. We got a little bit of a break there, a little bit lucky there as the ball hits off, but I've seen him make that inbound play just about every time this year.
And he actually, it drives me crazy, but doing in practice, he works on that, just like that. And he said, Coach, I'm going to make one of them. And when he shot it, he looked at me and just pointed him when he made it, because he knew he was coming out of the game immediately if he missed it. Donaldson decided he was going to take over. And there's moments about midway through this second half, I felt like
just keep the ball in your hands. And when he's doing that right there, a lot of coaches in the league have the same look, that open mouth look, because they're in awe of what he's able to do.
When he's doing that, I'm glad he's on my team,
Yeah.
because he'll reel off, he'll get hot. I mean, he's done a really good job of pushing it, pace. You see him off the dribble, pull up for the three, and he scored I think it was 8 consecutive points by himself. I mean, especially coming off pick and roll and being aggressive. And then when he does that, as you see Tariq Jenkins making that shot, everybody else gets involved.
Can't remember a time for the Pioneers, the last time that they had more than a 7-point lead on the Rail Splitters in the second half. It just doesn't seem like it's possible. We go under 5 minutes to play, and again, they're not going to go away. I mean, they're LMU. They're one of the best teams in our league. They are a bit young, but their diaper dandies are stepping up too. So it's making it very interesting. Tie game, back and forth, and you have to have the ball, the ball into the hands of your playmaker.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he did a replay right there, as you seen him making a layup underneath the basket. We did a really good job of doing that. And Don was, we want the ball in his hands late, and he was able to come up with a big play.
So he gets the go-ahead layup with just a few seconds to play. They attempt the three, LMU, and again, Taylor attempting that. Taylor finishing with the game high for LMU, 24 points. But Donovan Donaldson goes to the free throw line, a couple of free throw opportunities, and again, here he makes them both. We didn't do that necessarily coming up, but I don't think you're too thrilled with the fact that they got a foul call. Anthony Brown came in the second half, did a good job. He'll draw a foul, and he'll actually make a couple of free throws, and it appears to be just a slip.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a bad angle. You can't say anything about with the referee, and they did a really good job. But the biggest thing is we got to stop the ball, as you see right here. We was fortunate enough we didn't get a foul call, which didn't foul him, and he was able to win the game. And
it goes off the referee, out of play. The Pioneers celebrate a 2-point victory against the LMU Rail Splitters, shooting 47% for the game. LMU shoots 47%. Both teams combined for just 13 turnovers in the contest. And Donovan Donaldson, 0 against Coker last Saturday, 27 points against the LMU Rail Splitters, and the streak was over. It's not like the kids didn't know it. They obviously knew 24 straight games comes to an end. We're talking 2009. I think President Obama was just being inaugurated as the president of the United States. So we're talking a little while ago.
Yes.
And the Pioneers get this victory against LMU. Taking nothing away with what Josh Schertz has done, I just think he outplayed his team this past Wednesday.
We did a really good job of sticking to the game plan. I mean, we made some. Have you seen the first half where they got some wide open shots? They would set some screens, doing some different things that we hadn't seen, and we made an adjustment. And that's what have been a really good job of these guys this year, of making adjustment out of timeouts, certain situations, especially after halftime. And we done that, and we stayed the course, and of course, Don got the ball in his hand, he got going, and was able to win.
And it just seems like it's something very simple, just a layup, or he does kind of a double pump layup finish, something, and that is kind of the thing that kind of gets him going. And he looks over to the coach and he says, "I got this," or some kind of remark that get the ball into my hands, whatever it is. But when he's hitting that 15-foot fadeaway jumper off the dribble, that you're in a pretty good rhythm. We got great help, and I think Dylan Smith and Tariq Jenkins gave great help. And I think the unsung hero in the game, in a way, was Jackie Davis. Just offensive rebounds, being in the right place at the right time. LMU's not a huge team, but Jackie Davis is a strong player, really limited their paint touches in the game.
He as you see, we moved him to the middle, X5 in our zone. And about a month ago when I done it, even my assistants questioned me about it because, there was like the height of different guys. But all I asked Jackie is to do is play his role. If he wanted to play, he had to play his role, and that was keep the ball in the middle, keep those guys off the board. And he's done that. I mean, he's averaged right at 8 rebounds in the last, I think, 8 games. So and he's been a big part of us in our success.
Pioneers in the streak against LMU and move a little bit closer to that home berth in the South Atlantic Conference tournament. But in order to get it, they would likely and definitely would need to get a win against the Wingate Bulldogs, whom they defeated in overtime to really start this whole thing in motion, where the Pioneers have won 11 of their last 15 as they head down the stretch. Now it's a team that's taking on a Bulldog team that's coming off an overtime loss to Queens. They felt like they had ripped away from them, as Van Turner, as he has done all season long, has knocked down dagger threes, tied the game against the Bulldogs, and Queens went on to win in overtime against Wingate. So that's what Wingate is coming in against. The team is playing very good. Marco Haskins and company coming into the Pioneer Arena. Let's take a look at the highlights. Tusculum versus Wingate. The other thing they had going for them, knowing that you stole one from them in overtime, they had 3 overtime home losses this year, and you're one of the teams.
Yes, we did. I mean, I know we was down there. Don again was playing really well. But as you see, it was senior night. These seniors has done some things that wasn't expected from a lot of people. Yeah. And you see Malik Tyree make a 3, and then you see Caleb Hotnet miss a 3, and then Jackie getting a tip in. I mean, it's just he's been a catalyst for our team of our success here lately. And as you see Tariq getting to the rim, I mean, we did a really good job of driving the ball and finishing.
You know, I sat there and said, well, Coach Burton is one of those guys that likes to start as seniors. But then I looked out there and realized those are some pretty good seniors.
It's not bad.
Jackie's been playing well. Malik Tyree he's a 3 magnet. He's a guy that is also a very athletic, can play above the rim. So, did not have an issue with those guys out there. And very early, once again, we just kind of go back and forth. This like a heavyweight fight. We're trading blows very early in the game.
Yes, we were. I mean, you see Don making a play right there, getting Trent involved, and then him shooting up fadeaway jump shot and making it. It was just, and one big thing about it, Trent Gibson he was pretty good in this game, especially getting to the rim and finishing.
Got you started, definitely getting inside. You said Donovan Donaldson has to be the guy that we go to very early, and he's looking to get everybody involved.
Yes, he is. I mean, I think he had 5 assists and maybe 0 turnovers in this game as well, and he done a really good job of getting people involved. And I tell him all the time he's got to be a little bit more aggressive, though.
Yeah, it's true. Be more.
Yes.
Jacob Dawkins on a finish, Strozier on a finish for Wingate. Dawkins was named the South Atlantic Conference Player of the Week this past week, so he was playing well coming into the game. Frank Johnson for Wingate, the best guard in the league in terms of assists. He's given up 150 on the year coming in. But here's the guy, Marco Haskins. I felt like he really looked to get going, and he got going very early in this game.
He did. I mean, especially in the first half, he made some big shots. As you see, he made a contested 3 right there. But then, Don would come back and make the same shot. So that's what kind of kept us in the game there.
It was Wingate taking their first lead in that first half. They would have ultimately built their largest lead. Trent Gibson for this Pioneer team, right there is his game. Inside 8 feet in the paint, and he can take an advantage. I think he had that against Frank Johnson, who's just at 5'7". Gibson has been so good at taking advantage of the guy who's defending him and getting his big frame into the paint and finishing. He
has. I mean, that's what we try to preach to him all the time, is because he's going to be a bigger and stronger than a lot of guards he plays. And then if he doesn't, he does a good job of getting the ball in the right people's hands. See Don Donaldson hitting the 3 in the corner.
All right, here begins the run as Donaldson gets going. And Wingate's going to try to stay in this thing by going, but just too much Donaldson, and sometimes you just don't even need to speak and just let his actions happen.
When he's making those shots right there, we become really good because the guys it gets other people going in. As you see Trent driving the ball, getting the lane, going off 2 feet, and just gets everybody going to become contagious when this happens.
2 guys who had double figures, Gibson being one, Dylan Smith another big shot. Felt like this was the shot that put us over the top. His 3-ball, and you've already talked about it, his 3s that he's taking. Gibson's not making a whole lot. As a matter of fact, he just airballed one just before that. But yes. I love the fact that he had the courage. Didn't count as a 3 because he had a toe on the line, but the courage to take the shot.
Yeah, I always tell him, if they back up off of you in the way you've been, I trust him. He can make those shots. He practices them. So, if you get it, take it. You got to make it, though.
The big moment for the Pioneers, and I think you needed the dagger, and Tariq Jenkins, which he has done so often, was able to finish, give you that double-digit lead, the first double-digit lead of the game. And I know you're not comfortable because we're still about 8 minutes to play, but then you got this guy going.
Yeah, I mean, he got going. When he's making those shots like at fadeaway, it's not, it's hard to guard, and then Dylan hits that same shot again. As I tell you, he works on it. And those guys, it's a testament to them because they work at those shots. They get in the gym every single day, and they play hard. You see Don driving, going off 2 feet and finishing.
What you don't see there was the fact that there was 2 seconds on the shot clock as he was able to finish. Now, Wingate's not going to go away, and Haskins, what you haven't seen was him still hitting some 3s. But this is the one shot that I saw, looked over and looked at Brian Good, the Wingate coach, and his jaw was on the floor. Couldn't believe that Donaldson hit that little floater through the lane. I felt like that had to have been the dagger.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really. They made a few shots and made a little small run, but when he made that, then Don, I mean, it kind of took the air out of him. As you see them making the 3. They don't give up though, but we kind of stretched the lead out there.
You were able to make enough free throws down the stretch.
Yes.
Yeah, they were going to hit some 3s, and they were going to make them. We knew that was probably going to happen. A Pioneer team that gets the last 2 wins of the regular season, knocking off Brian Good and the Wingate Bulldogs, where they were almost firmly in at number 4 because of the ties and the fact that LR had defeated LMU. Then there was a 3-way tie, and probably that benefited the Pioneers because then you went head-to-head with all 3 of those teams, and you went 3-1 against that group, which gives you the 4 seed. Congratulations, you get the LR Bears. They will come to Pioneer Arena. 2 very tough games this season. But then again, everything has been tough when you've won 12 of your last 16 after opening 0-4 in the South Atlantic Conference. What's been the biggest difference for your team since then? Is it just more than intangible, more of a belief, or guys starting to make shots?
I think it's a belief. I think it's, guys making shots. And, as I told you before, at this juncture of the season, it's more about taking care of the ball, rebounding, and making free throws. And if you could do that on a consistent basis, you give yourself a chance to win. So we've done a really good job with that, especially coming down the stretch.
So the Pioneers down the stretch, playing well. We'll talk about if that's good or bad when we return right after this. Pioneer Basketball with Pioneer coach J.T. Burton.
Hello, my name is Jacob Fate, and I'm the Dean of the College of Business at Tusculum University. I'm proud to share with you that the programs in the College of Business received accreditation through ACBSP in December of 2018. The Accreditation Council for Business Schools and Programs accredits business schools and programs worldwide. This accreditation elevates our programs to the top programs worldwide.
Welcome back into Pioneer Basketball with Pioneer coach J.T. Burton. Pioneers into the Pilot Flying J South Atlantic Conference Tournament. That's nothing new. Let's just be honest. The Pioneers have typically been the 8th seed and have typically taken on a nationally ranked LMU Rail Splitter team, and that has been end of the road here over the last decade. Yes, did miss the tournament last year, but they're in and hosting for the first time since 2010. We talked a lot about this 12 of 16 streak that you're on. The Donovan Donaldson winning the 2nd Conference Player of the Week honor as well. Is that good news for this team? I mean, are you that firm believer that you have to be playing well, or have we peaked, or all that kind of stuff? Do you believe you're the most dangerous team heading into the tournament right now?
Yeah, you got to be playing well. Everybody wants to be playing well at this juncture of the season because you don't want to come in, limping and trying to get to the next level because that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And especially being able to host a game, you're on a roll. Hopefully we get a good crowd out. If you could do that and we could continue to play well, I think we'll be okay.
We've always said that this year when we've seen the Bears that maybe one of the more athletic teams that we've seen, like them a lot to a Catawba team, where they may be the most dangerous, most complete team, Queens, no question about it. The scariest team, the Pioneers. We could have all of these sayings about all of these teams, but for the Bears, I think what makes them scary is the fact that they have so many scorers that are out there on the floor. What makes them a good team?
I mean, first, Averick Sullivan does a really good job with them, the head coach. But those players, all of them, they know their roles. Their 2 guards are really good. They can take and make tough 2s and 3s. They rebound it well. They don't turn the ball over, and they really execute in the half court. So, they're a pretty good basketball team.
It's a team I think for LR feels as if maybe we stole one from them here at home as well, as the way the game may or may not have ended for some. Pioneers did get to the free throw line. They didn't commit enough fouls in the second half. They were trying to. Amazing they got 4 fouls called in less than the second and a half, but were able to get that done, send us to the free throw line. There's a team that obviously I think started the year 7-0, I think has something to prove. Almost as good as the Pioneers, something to prove here. And it's so funny how these teams are very similar.
Yeah, they're very, very similar. We went, vice versa at the beginning of the year. They started out really well. We started out really slow. But, both teams are playing pretty good at this point. They got a huge win this past week. So with that being said, it's 0-0 now. It doesn't matter. You gotta execute. You gotta rebound. You gotta take care of the ball. And because we're gonna know what they're gonna run, vice versa. So we just gotta take care of ourselves and hopefully we can come out with a win.
Now you got to make shots, but you have the Conference Player of the Week. Last time he won this award, we didn't come out necessarily firing on all cylinders. I think it was a challenge for the other team. How is Donovan Donaldson different now, maybe this time around after winning this award right now, and how is he playing? Is he the most dangerous player in our league right now?
He knows if it's just lose or go home. Win or go home, and he knows that he's got to come out and be aggressive because if not, we're done. We don't have got strong enough resume to make it to the tournament. So it's conference tournament, game by game. So he knows, and I think he'll be ready to go.
It's a Pioneer team that will take on the LR Bears on Wednesday night as the Pioneers take on LR. Watch it through our Pioneer YouTube page, through TusculumPioneers.com. Of course, you can listen to that as well from the Pioneer Sports Network. The Pioneers are into the South Atlantic Conference Tournament. They're hosting a game. They'll take on the Lenore-Rhine Bears. You can watch all that. You can listen to all that. We want you to be in the seats, in the arena itself. Wednesday night here at Tusculum University, making some noise. We're going to do some kind of special night, or we're going to do throwback jersey night or anything like that.
I mean, well, you can do throwback jersey night. You can do whatever, as long as you're in the stands. I mean, I know that we're going to have some, get to students here, we're going to have some pizza at halftime. But,
we're going to feed you.
Yeah, we're going to feed you. We're going to do whatever it takes. I mean, I would like to have a record crowd. I know some of the teams are playing on the road, unfortunately. But, I know the women's team are playing, and they're going on the road. So, support everybody. If you can go down there and watch the women play, go, or watch them on the live on YouTube. But if you're here in Greenville and you're a student, come on to the gym, because we're feeding pizza to the students, and we're just trying to get everybody involved, because it's a neat thing to host a game.
Come out, come see us. It's Wednesday night, and the Pioneers win. They get to advance to Timmons Arena at Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina, also the host site of the SEC Women's Tournament. Why we do this every year, I don't know. This town is not that big. However, we'll see you this weekend if the Pioneers are able to win on Wednesday as well. For everybody involved behind the scenes here at the Pioneer Sports Network, Nick Forsberg, Dom Donnelly, Jim Miller, he's Pioneer coach JT Burton. I'm Brian Staten. Till next week, go Pioneers.